So we are studying how to attain the highest state of meditation that reveals the knowledge of reality and leads to awakening so that we can live, think, and work in meditation. Just think of it, that you enter into a meditative state, and then that meditative state does not leave you. What will be the quality of your thought and speech and action and relationship in day to day living? So, the first 15 steps that we have covered prepares a strong foundation on which the journey of self discovery is based. The 16th step is listening and learning the principles of Eastern wisdom. And the 17th is all about 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th step. Focus on contemplation and reflection. That is known as the second major step. And from the step 21, we start with understanding the meditation. Now, see, there are two major steps in meditation. One is seeking. So, seeking means you clear that mind and the intellect about the object of knowledge and the means of knowledge. You see that how logical it is. What is the object of knowledge? It is my true nature. What is the means of the knowledge? Huh? We have been talking a lot about purify the mind, allow the intellect to reach to a state of clarity and a conviction, and the doubt free knowledge. That part is known as the seeking part. And the searching part is the practice of meditation. So, what it discovers? It discovers the subject of knowledge. And who is the subject of knowledge? When you say you are a meditator, you are the subject of knowledge. You are the meditator. So, these 21 and 22 steps explores deeply who is the subject of knowledge. Then what happens? Look at some of the examples. Patanjali says emptiness of the mind is highest state of meditation. Same thing the Buddha also says. Total emptiness and nothingness. So what happens to that subject of knowledge in the state of emptiness? That needs to be understood clearly. When you are in the state of emptiness or nothingness, the very I thought, the ego sense, merges completely with the consciousness, and it is replaced by the real self. That is what happens. So now you are becoming clear that how and why the masters talk about the state of emptiness and nothingness, that very subject of knowledge. Until now, we have continued the practice of meditation with an I thought. So in step 21 and 22, that teaches us that how to replace this I thought with I am the real self. But as we replace it through the mind and the intellect, the pride takes over. The pride. What is that pride? Look at these guys. They don't practice meditation. I'm an extraordinary guy. I'm a great meditator. So I missed the first 15 steps. What are that? Real self is one common element present in all the being. I forgot it. Why I forget it? Because of the ego sense. See that? Ego sense gives the pride. I am an extraordinary guy. My master used to say, the person who claims that he is extraordinary, he will never succeed in meditation. Only the ordinary people succeed in meditation. So the step 21 says, now you have to declare with that purified mind that I am the real self. Take a simple example. I am your dad, but at the same time, the intellect should be very clear that I am the real self. It is only for the transactional reality I am your father. For the transactional reality, I am your teacher until the session ends. After that, who cares who is the teacher? But if you claim you are, now, don't you listen to you? Me? After all, I'm your wife. So this idea never goes out of the mind. We carry the burden in the mind of the false notions all the time. We have to replace this notion with I am the real self. I did not cover one very important aspect last week. That's why I'm summarizing it. So, why this happens? It happens because we have the seed of the impressions deeply buried in the mind that prevents us to declare I am the real self. Are you getting it? Say, for example, I look at Daniel and I say, Sergey, how are you? What your mind instantly says? No, 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 I'm not Sergey, I'm Daniel. Past impression. It is so, it comes spontaneously. You just spontaneously. And I say, huh? Even you don't allow the mind to, you don't allow the mind to give a space to become aware. Is it really true? It comes instantly. That is why the step 121 says that during 24 by 7 with mind that is pure, the intellect that is clear and has a conviction that I am the real self. Well, that conviction you constantly remind yourself that I am the real self. So, what it does? It opposes the tendencies, the impressions that is buried in the mind that takes us to a wrong notion that I am son, father, daughter, employer, businessman. That opposing tendencies. See that? Are you getting something? I'm briefly touching, I learned it for 4 years. Obviously, I was fool. I was not so intelligent. You guys are intelligent. You'll pick up instantly. so, so, so pure mind, when the pure mind says, I am the real self, then you drop the opposite tendencies. What are those opposite tendencies? That is coming from the wrong notion that I'm the son, I'm the father, I'm the teacher, I'm the women. Huh? I belong to this caste, I'm of this color. All those ideas, millions of the thoughts. Only one thought becomes so heavy, so dominating. But when I start saying this, without practicing meditation, nothing happens. I may say I am a president of USA, then what it means. Nothing happens. You see, this is one example. Huh? At least we meditators do not want to be the president of any country. So what happens? That pride takes over, the ego sense takes over, because that declaration is coming from I thought. There are two I. One is I thought, the other is a thoughtless I. Don't say anything to the mind. Do not think at all. Don't you know that you exist? That is the thoughtless I. You are simply aware of it. It is always with us. That is our real nature. Are you getting it? Simple. Don't think. Still you know I am. I am. So the master says this ego sense gives us the pride sense. What is that ego sense? The ego sense, what is that ego sense? Ego sense is nothing but depends on the assumption that everything happens in the life is caused by our action. That is the ego sense. The ego sense accepts many other factors responsible for our actions, like body, energy, senses, motor organs, outer world. You see, I had a tremendous energy. That is why I accomplished this feat. See, ego sense. Ego sense is based on the assumption that everything is happening in life caused by my action. In that reference, it accepts many other factors. My body, I'm beautiful after all, I'm handsome. A lot of stuff. You see? And it is caused by Rajo and Tamoguna. For Lara and for Jerry, according to the journey of understanding. Now, the pride rises from the ego sense. The pride is the result of my belief in the wrong notions about who am I, guided by my attitude, analysis, reasoning, behavior, expression. What should I do? How can I check? How can I know? How can I know? When I say I am the real self, is it really coming from the meditative state, or it is coming from the I thought? How to know it? Yeah, that is the question. So this master says, when you enter into a higher meditative state, you discover a witness consciousness behind the I thought. That simply witness. J. Krishnamurti says that witness consciousness as a choiceless awareness. When we say I am not the body without practice, say, for example, you don't practice meditation, you have not understood clearly all the 15 and 20 steps. Now, when we say I am not the body, without practice, intellect says inside, how dare you say that? The intellect instantly comes for rescue. How can you say you are not the body? You are performing all the actions. And when we say I am the real self, the intellect inside says it is a good thought to say I am the real self. And still we live in delusion and confusion. See the very subtle nature of this journey. So now you are going into meditation, you experience a vastness in the space, total emptiness, and other variety of experiences. That gives a glimpse to that witness consciousness. The witness consciousness transcends the intellect and the thought instantly. And that witness consciousness is nothing but what the J. Krishnamurti says, a choiceless awareness and thoughtless awareness. One great master used to say that I think without thoughts. Sri Aurobindo, who lived until 1950, wrote two classical, The Synthesis of Yoga and The Life Divine, which covers all entire teachings of the Upanishads, Yoga, Mantra, Tantra, etc. Contemplate on it. Another master used to give an example, I am the real self. So how he used to give an example that a mountain of salt mountain of a salt, entered into an ocean to find out who am I. What will happen? Mountain of the salt will merge into an ocean. The witness consciousness. That is another reflection of understanding, symbolic understanding of this witness consciousness. So the two steps the master gives a warning. The first is declare, I am the real self. As you have already doing a deeper meditative, you enter into the deeper meditative state every time you do. But because you declare, I am the real self, pride comes from the behind. Because of the false notion, because of the Rajoguna, because of the Tamoguna, and it is extremely challenging to release and destroy those past impressions of which we are habituated. So we continue the meditation and wait until there is no thought, there is a witness consciousness, and that witness consciousness enters into the pure intellect and says, now you can declare I'm the real self. And the moment you declare, what happens? You also experience the immutable peace, happiness, love, and the wisdom. You start getting the glimpse of it. Yes, now I know the real self is already there. The pure consciousness is there. You also experience that peace and happiness are independent of anything outside. Ego is dependent on everything outside. Pride is dependent on everything outside. I'm beautiful, pride. Beautiful with reference to the body. You see that? I'm rich with reference to the wealth. So the ego and the pride sense always depends on everything outside. Witness consciousness is totally independent of everything else. So once we have that awareness, that is what is choiceless awareness. That is what is the thoughtless awareness. So still we say I am, still we use the word I, but just as a play and a fun. It does not carry any impression. You play with this I. One enlightened master had a debate with another master who was more an academician. He did not have an experiential knowledge. So that academic professor asked the enlightened master, let us debate and see who wins. So, whosoever wins will be an enlightened person. So, enlightened master, with all humility, said, why to debate? I accept defeat from you. To be into that state does not have any meaning to get defeated or winning. Victory and defeat does not matter. What I am, I will remain I am. So, in symbolically, we understand what is that witness consciousness. Are you getting a little bit of it? It needs a lot of understanding, but even if you get a glimpse of it, you will start contemplating and reflecting. At the same time, you're doing meditation. It will happen, my friend. So, let us start our journey of meditation. Stage one, close your eyes gently. Do not squeeze it. Look at the body. And when you look at the body, become steady. Then look inside the head or the heart and the mind. You see the space. And in that space, pick up a point where you experience the calmness. Continuity of that calmness means, you see that? What we have learned. Huh? The meditation deals with the subject of knowledge. Who is the subject? You. And are you aware of the calmness? Maintain your awareness, so called. What is going to happen? Normally, we are aware of our stress, anxiety, reaction, duality, conflict, problem, suffering, and they never come to an end. The same way, this calmness never ends, but we don't want to know it. Beings, we settle us. Let us be comfortable, moving the mind slowly from the crown of the head to the toes. On the way, we look at all the joints of the body. Not all, whatever we come out, neck joints, shoulder joints, elbow joints, spine, vertebrae, hip, and every time the mind is there, you are aware and you experience sensation, comfortable, and steadiness. Until now, you see that we are doing a knowledge practice. So those 15 steps makes it easy for us to be settled into being comfortable. So every step has its role. And then being carefree, free from all the cares of the mind. So here the principle comes the matter and the consciousness at a very subtler level. The consciousness behind means I am aware, and thoughts. So thoughts are coming and going, and I'm aware. Two separate entities. One is the seer, other is the seen. And that takes us to being casual, natural. I have explained couple of times, many a times, being casual and natural. Existence is perfectly in a natural state. What exists because of the existence continues to change. I'm using every different expressions every time in every meditation so that it goes deeply into your head. for awakening. Like the water, if the water is existence, the waves, foams, flood, tsunami, they all are what they exist. What exists will disappear, depends on the existence. That is why I say being casual and natural. We'll move to the stage two, purifying the mind. Looking inside the valley, in the space, and start breathing quick, short, gentle breath from both the nostrils into the belly, but continue to maintain awareness of the calmness deeper inside. Start breathing. Quick, short, gentle breath. Continue. Continue with awareness of the calmness deep inside. And stop this. In the stage two, we will go for deep, silent, slow breathing. You inhale, and it should take time. Why? It is deep, it is silent, it is slow. The inhalation always remains silent, slow, deep. And when you exhale, still it is deeper breath, longer breath. Only difference is that you make a humming sound. And now you remember that humming sound should create a sensation inside the forehead. Based on that, you can change the pitch and the rhythm. You should continue until the last pint of the breath during inhalation and exhalation. Never allow the mind to take over you. When you inhale, inhalation should always be deep, silent, slow. It should take a longer time. But your natural awareness is inside the forehead while doing the humming. Continue the journey. Stop this humming, but continue with a deep, silent, slow inhalation and exhalation. And let the mind move from the crown of the head to the tailbone in the spine, and from the tailbone to the crown of the head. We are dropping that dependence of the I thought. Doing nothing, it's so simple. Once we have a clarity of understanding and then the practice, it brings the result. So while dropping the mind with the breath going inside from the crown of the head to the tailbone, you drop Om Shanti 5 times during inhalation and 5 times during exhalation. You may have a variety of experiences. There may be an upsurge of energy from the spine, visions and the colors, totally body is melting. You get sweating in the heat, and sometimes the body becomes freezing cold. We accept, we recognize and accept and continue the practice. These are the changes from deeper inside has to come, because you are clear, you are not going after the means of the knowledge, the object of knowledge. Ah, subjective knowledge is the main in higher meditation. Mentally, you're dropping Om Shanti. You see the space. Again, you drop Om Shanti. Again, you see the space Om Shanti. As if you're perfectly in a casual state. Beautiful. I appreciate you all. And now drop this Om Shanti. Continue with the deep silence slow, which is your car. Mind is the driver. In the stage 3, we move inside the right arm. In the space, that space is the highway. You see, the mind is absorbed in the three things: deep silence, slow breath, which is your car, and the mind is the driver driving inside the right arm, where it is driving in the space, in the emptiness. We are not imagining anything, we are just driving to bypass one of the greatest obstacle in the journey of meditation. This mind and the intellect believes that it lives only on the existence of the body. Moving the mind inside the left arm. So, next session, we will understand how I am not the body and how to drop that wrong notion. Even if we say, I am not the body, and still the ego sense, very subtle ego sense, returns with a greater force. So we have to drop the delusion of I am not the body, and the 24th step is bit interesting. It says, do not argue with the men of the Eastern wisdom, but contemplate on the principles. Move the mind now inside the right leg. From the right side of the waist to the toes, and toes to the waist. You remember only the three things: the highway, where the breath is moving and the mind is driving the breath. You're moving deeper. I'm happy. Now inside the left leg, in that state of calmness, steadiness, relaxation, is already there. We are going beyond that. And now inside the spine, from the crown of the head to the tailbone, from the tailbone to the crown of the head, just you will feel as if the mind drops on its own when it is moving from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Mind has a notion that anything moves from the top to the down is easy. Lifting is hard. That is also a wrong notion. So that we will deal with in the future steps. And now leave the step. Let the breath be normal. We move into the stage 4, superimposing. Look deep inside the head or the heart in the space. Anything comes. Om Shanti. Nothing comes, remain in that state of emptiness. So you constantly ask the mind, just know, experience that state of emptiness is a truth. Oh, another thought comes, Om Shanti. No thought is there, enjoy that state. But what happens? The past impression, the seed impression says, oh, there is no thought. What will happen to you? It comes from the past impression. Another understanding of that I thought depends on everything outside. Continue. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Nothing comes, remain as it is. And leave the step, moving to the stage 5. Casually, naturally, as if you are looking inside the crown of the head, and you drop Om, reflecting on Om is the real self. Again inside the head. Oh, you see, I started this step much earlier before taking up this step. So when you drop home, okay, witness. The intellect says, keep quiet, no thought. Then you go into the heart, om, belly button, om, and then return the journey from the belly button, om, heart, om, head, om, top of the head. And drop this in the last T6 as the breath going in, coming out. Non verbally, you remind yourself behind that breath, it is the Om. Om is a symbolic expression of real self. Breath going in, behind it. Breath coming out, behind it. The breath cannot move without the space. So become aware of that space. and doing nothing. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind to the right hand, just in awareness. It doesn't appear as if it is me. That is why we return in a very specific way to maintain that state of meditation for a longer period. We don't rub our palms. Move the mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms slowly. Place it on your closed eyes. Open the eyes inside. Know your experiences and bring the hands down. Two things to go: sharing your experiences and question, answer. How are you, Lara?
I am good. It was a good meditation today.
Yes,
And,
yes.
it was interesting to watch when the mind went outside. It was easier for me to bring it back in. Just
Yes,
redirect it. Just Om
redirect.
Shanti again and just redirect back in.
Very good. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It is meant for that. Beautiful. You are progressing. How are you, Samir?
Sir, it was very peaceful, very deep. From beginning till the end, I was totally aware. But in end 5 7 minutes, I felt very sleepy. I didn't know why I felt very sleepy. But in the end, 5 7 minutes before that, I was totally aware and alert. I didn't know what
Yeah,
happened.
that's really good. Yeah. So we give a simple answer. It comes from the past impression. Tamoguna causes the sleep. So satoguna is not dominant. So it happens because of the impression stored deep inside. That is what we are discussing. And good. How are you, Daniel?
I'm fine. That was a very quiet
Very
meditation.
good.
But I have to say that you said today a very important part for me
Yeah.
because since I joined, I was thinking, what it's really my real self? What does it mean? What can I learn about myself? And I had like many different thoughts, and also some funny thoughts because I was also thinking maybe I will discover something that I don't want to see. Then I had other thoughts, and my gut feeling was telling me that my real self is also partially in me, but also not in me, but also part of it is outside of me. And my gut feeling was telling me that, like meditation by meditation, that what I will discover is kind of my real self, which is shared. between all of us. I don't know how to express it, and sorry for this naive explanation.
Yeah, yeah.
My gut's
I
feeling
could
that
see.
real self, I will not find anything what will disappoint me. I will find something what my gut's feeling is telling me that this is good, this is shared between different human beings.
So you see that? That's a beautiful. I think it's going deep inside you, these principles. And we have been saying that real self is nothing but the pure consciousness. And it is one common element in every human being. Means what? You drop that Daniel name, and I drop Girish, and Lara drops the name and the form. That is an effect. So, what is the cause of this effect of different names in the form? It is the pure consciousness. So, we'll have one common element. So, in the highest meditative state, you see everything at the transactional level. I will definitely address you as a Daniel. But deeper inside, you have an experience that it is the same. We both are essentially one. Like I give the example of different waves. Behind the wave, cause of the wave, water. Water is an essence. So same thing, that real self is an essence. Then you see that your whole attitude, personality, your action changes completely. Your blame, complain, and the reaction game stops. It doesn't mean that you don't talk about it, you do not criticize. Everything happens in the transactional world. But inside, you are 100% clear. That is what is known as awakening. How are you, David and Jerry?
Well, firstly, it's nice to be back in a routine. We missed you. The stage of breathing through the limbs was interesting for me because you said your mind is not your body. So for whatever reason, I started breathing through Jerry's limbs, and
I like.
And then I came back to my body, and I felt this detachment instantly because my mind is not my body. So I just okay. And it was really actually releasing it. I really enjoyed it. And I felt like muscles in my shoulder relax and things like that. It was funny.
Yeah. It is a pointer. I could see that your mind melted completely, all the dualities, and you in fact moved with that love from inside. That helps us, our mind, to move inside the body of the others. It's a pure essence of love. That's so beautiful. That is really good. Good, we are all changing. I'm so happy. How are you, Jerry?
Very well, thank you. It's really great to be back too. I missed it. I love the takeaway today with it's almost like everything matters and nothing matters, right? So, and the salt mountain into the water. I like the metaphor of that. And my experience today was nice and quiet, and through the humming, I had a lot of lightness, light-wise and body-wise, or just lightness. And then as we got through the Om Shantis, it was very dark. And then for the first time, I had this experience of green. So maybe that's because David was breathing into my limbs.
I like this. This is really good. But it's a deeper state. It's a deeper state. I don't want to go into that detail, but I'll tell you something about it. that is being practiced by a lot of Tantra masters. I'll just give a reference to it. But it's a beautiful that we all are progressing. Jerry, yes, we are all, you are becoming a seeker. How are you, Sergey?
Today it was very sleepy.
Sleepy?
Yes, and after at the end, I felt like there were a lot of energy in my arms. Interesting feeling when you say like put awareness into the left arm and right arm, and I felt that one. So that's interesting. And take away from today's lesson, like you said, our goal is to take the same state of meditation, not only when we're meditating, but after that. Actually, every time after our lesson, I'm trying to go back to work and I can't. My body just say, go out of the building and go just for 20 minutes and walk without any thought, without any reasons, without not, like it's just, for me, it's like a meditative state of walking. I'm just it's very peaceful, very happy. And after that, I'm coming back and I can work.
Beautiful. I think your experience is beautiful. The answer, if you can make it a question, that just after the meditative state, my mind says, don't go anywhere, live into that state. So there are two factors involved. One is the tamasic guna. Tamasic guna means the inherent nature of the mind to become inert, inertia like the matter. So that blocks the knowledge what needs to be done. That is one aspect. But at the same time, if the tamoguna is not there, the mind wants to remain absorbed into that meditative state. So sometime we have to understand these two differences. Third point, once you ask the mind, am I calm? Yes. Am I in peace? Yes. My mind is clear? Yes. Then ask the mind, what is the next work to do in the same peace and happiness? Internally, you think of it. Internally, you think of it. And you know what is your agenda after the meditation. Be very clear, no, I have to go to work. Yes, let me get ready. Live into that state of the calmness. So we have to ask the mind to guide. So what will happen? You will realize that you have started living into that state of meditation. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत पीसफुल था और एकदम डार्क स्पेस है और मुझे भी डार्क ग्रीन कलर दिखा पहले, फिर उसके बाद ब्राइट गेरुआ रंग, ब्राइट ऑरेंज.
Acha, bright orange. She saw the dark green and the bright orange. So that's obviously indicating the mind is absorbed with that peace consciousness within. That represents the green color. It's a beautiful, I'm so happy. And any question now? Remember, I thought, thoughtless I. I thought is a salt mountain who says, let the ocean. And now it drops into an ocean, it merges. I thought is gone. You have a witness consciousness. That is what happens.
So, Girish, I've actually been kind of working on this myself, like for the past week or so, and looking at how we think we're all these different roles. I'm making up this is kind of what you were saying. Like to me, like the role of being a yoga teacher, the role of being a yoga therapist, a partner, and all these different roles. But then also the roles of society that have been placed on us too. And like starting to be able to free yourself from that role and be your authentic self, which is so much deeper than this like outside layer that we think we are. Am I getting that right? Making sense?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
waiting for the question. Yeah.
There's not really a question. It's more, I guess it's fascinating to me that here, this is something that I've been kind of, delving into, and then here you're talking about it.
You see that the first 4 steps that we started lays a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And it directly says there are only 2 types of knowledge: matter, consciousness. One is matter and extension of matter. What is that extension of matter? Is my family, personal, professional, social life that is carried out by the body, mind, intellect, and ego. And the other is the knowledge of the self, the reality, the supreme consciousness. In religion, we talk about the soul and so-called the God and goddesses. So we are not going there because that will put us into a blind belief. So we are directly understanding the 2 types of the knowledge. But now I have understood the knowledge. So I must also understand how to apply that knowledge in life. In daily life, I'm living a professional life. Professional life means I'm doing a particular karma. So did you understand? We have understood the 5 types of karma. Nitya and the Naimitya karma must be done at all cost. I will take up that later again, Daniel and Sergey. But Kamya karma must be dropped. Kamya means where the mind has an idea of ego sense and desire for the fruits of an action. So what exactly you are doing? On one hand, you are purifying the mind. On outside, you are playing a role. But still the ego sense that after all, okay, let me say I have not done it, but the ego sense remains. So you say, okay, let the ego sense be dropped to the existence. And then we become very careful about the desire that never comes to an end. We say, let us do the desire management. So the next 4 steps is all about the desire management. We recognize the inherent defects in the desire and the pleasure. And then we ask ourselves, do we need desire fulfillment or self-fulfillment? So 8 steps are done. Now 8 steps are done. The next 4 steps explains that are you a seeker? Do you behave and act and think like a seeker on the path? Look at this Daniel and Sergey. They are IT experts, so they always think like that. Their mind has become so full of reasoning and the logic. Maybe because I explain with the logic and reasoning, that is why they are with me. Otherwise, they should not have been with me. But that is the way of the Eastern soul. Those 4 steps means you can say from the step 9 to 12 and ultimately to 15 is based on 4-fold practices. If we don't have that 4-fold practices, which consist of 9 steps, then we cannot proceed further. We cannot advance. So what are those? Viveka. I was giving a lesson yesterday too, and Viveka means that I have that knowledge in the mind all the time, separating the self from the non-self. How? You are giving me a very complex thing to do. When you look at the sky, appears blue, but you know it is not blue. You know it. It is no, you know it. Yeah? Isn't it? You know it. So I should live in that knowledge of the self and the non-self. So I did not cover in detail, but my book, How to Succeed in Meditation, I have covered in detail the Viveka, 10 different types of Viveka we have to practice. Then if you are practicing Viveka, you need not to worry about craving, attachment, obsession, anxiety, blame, complaint. It will drop by itself. And that practice is known as dispassion. So you wake up in the morning and you see your mind is in the state of dispassion. That meditation will always succeed. So when you do these two practices, in the same book, I covered the 6 treasures, inner treasures. I should live in those 6 inner treasures. They are inner treasures, outer wealth. We see, nobody wants to tell how much money you have in your bank account. It is kept secret. But every bank official knows how much money you have. Anyhow, no, that's a different, that is one outer wealth. Outer wealth. We keep it in a safe box. Similarly, deep inside the heart, these 6 treasures are there. We need to awaken to that. Because these treasures will help us succeed to reach to the highest. What are those? Sama. Always relax deeper inside, calm inside. Mind is 100% available to you. There are different interpretations. Second is, you look at a person, how handsome or how beautiful is, but you have a clarity that there is no attachment while appreciating. Means your senses are always withdrawn inside. The intellect takes a why given, gives the wise expression. Third is uparati. My master used to say, hell with this world. I am in the state of bliss. That is the third state. The mind says, okay, husband, wife, son, daughter, money, no money, insert, blame, complain. Hell with this world. I am in the state of the bliss. Can you have that state of the mind? I am with myself. That is the third treasure known as uparati. Now the fourth treasure comes if the mind takes a ramp and you say, come back. Sometimes it happens because of the past impressions, You look at a person, your mind has built a habit of a feeling of bad feeling against that person. So the mind gets engaged and it takes a ramp, it starts blaming. Return. Mind, where are you? Come back. That is the fourth treasure. It is known as titiksha. And the fifth one is fade. Now what happened? Since our childhood until the journey started, what the Daniel was explaining, he had a tremendous faith in the world outside with reference to the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, the money, the profession, and the skill sets. But now you have a faith. The mind has a faith. There is something more beyond it. That faith should live all the time, 24/7. That gives you a natural focus of the mind to live simultaneously with the self and the non-self. Non-self, my family, my professional, my social life. So that is an effect that does not exist. What does it mean? You say, I'm a husband. Show me where you are a husband. You are a man first because then you are a husband. These son, father, daughter, they are different roles to be played in our life. They are not me. Get rid of the burden of this. So when that burden is dropped, you have 100% clarity. Here is a self, here is a non-self. And then you practice meditation. And then that meditation succeeds. So we constantly live into that understanding. Like I gave an example, the sky appears blue but not blue. What is the message here? This worldly life will always be full of suffering. Whether you get enlightenment or whether you don't get it, you have to face this world. So it means, should I stop doing meditation? But because now that suffering do not touch you, that is awakening. It remains outside. Because you are playing a role. You can deal with any challenges with a smile, with a peace and calmness. That is what is known as awakening. Are you getting it? So it means then what happens? Now the self is living as husband, the self is living as a father, self is living as an employee, self is living as an IT expert, self is living as a mother. There is no difference between the wave and the water. It appears as a water, but still it is the water. So that comes at the last. But if you start with the first, then you will fall into illusion and delusion. It will backfire. Last thing, I have one student who is, he is not present today. He's normally present on Saturdays. When I was teaching him all these things, and he went to his house and he said to his honey, now I am a monk. I have no relationship with you. And then, normally in India, I have a relationship with both husband and a wife. So the wife called me. I said, okay, don't worry. Don't worry. I will take care of it. So he came to the next session and I said, get out of it. Go to the Himalayas. You are a monk now. So he realized his mistake. No, sir, I told my wife. I said, why you told your wife? It's an inner practice. He built an ego. So it's a very dangerous, you are walking on a razor's edge. A little movement and you are gone. And then you blame teacher, then you say, oh, teacher is doing